Let's jump into charting cryptos, commodities, and currencies. We'll jump first into Bitcoin, as we always do. This is the 24-hour-a-day Bitcoin and the Ethereum charts. We're starting with Bitcoin. We see that right now it is up 0.10% for the day. And we see, again, that week where things rocketed up the 23rd, which was 2 weeks ago of September, that has since fallen off. Green spinning top last week. Pretty much a doji here this week. If we blew it up enough, we could probably get it up to looking a little, well, no, can't even get it to look like a spinning top. It's just a doji sitting right there on the line. Depending on where we set the line, it could be below it. It could be right on it, but we do see that it is nonetheless falling off. We can see those 4 days of strong down movement, Tuesday, Wednesday, the 1st and 2nd of October, and Thursday, Friday, the 3rd and 4th. This week, a little lackluster. You can see on the half-day chart, 195-minute chart on a 24-hour chart, how they've driven down since about 3:30 on Monday. And again, just sort of continuing just to move down. So not a lot of strength being shown in Bitcoin, just not anything moving it. What do we see with Ethereum? Even less. Ethereum popped up that week, the 23rd of September, then a doji last week, and then a red down candle this week. Not hitting the low of last week yet. It is up for the day, 0.78%. We can see here on the 195-minute chart, where over the weekend in the evening on Sunday, things popped up early and then late into the evening on Sunday. And then come Monday, things started moving down. They did pop a little bit in the morning on Monday around 9 a.m. and then tracking since, and this is all the way back on Monday, the 7th of October, all the way back, all of one day. Don't let these candles fool you. They're 195 minutes on a 24-hour-a-day chart. That's why it looks like it could go back 2 weeks. It's not. It's just Monday. And then we see things as they throughout the day move down on into Tuesday, sort of leveling out and up a little bit. So again, Ethereum not doing much either. Bitwise, which tracks top 10 cryptocurrencies weighted as per market share, it is continuing to move up. Now, I would encourage you to pay attention to the later moves you see sometimes, particularly on up moves, on Bitwise, as opposed to what's going on with Bitcoin. So pay attention to that. See what kind of information you get that might be helpful for you doing a practice trade on Bitwise. But again, it's up for the day 4.75% when Bitcoin's not. And again, Bitcoin's the big dog there, but there are prior up moves that may still be tracking through Bitwise. So keep an eye on that. See what intelligence you can garner from prior moves on Bitcoin and how they translate perhaps later in Bitwise. Might give the ability at some point to make a decent practice trade there. So let's move from cryptocurrencies to commodities. A few of those to go over after we've been tracking sugarcane. And of course, if we look at sugarcane, depending on where we put our line, we can of course see that nonetheless it has fallen off quite significantly. Volume has fallen off on sugarcane. Sugarcane prices have dropped off in this last week after bumping up quite nicely, at least for 2 weeks, the week beginning the 16th of September and the 23rd of September, slowed down last week, the 30th of September, beginning then. Look at corn. Corn, however, now it did have a big banner week last week, beginning the 30th of September, not hit that high before and is down for the day about 8%. You can see where corn had its interim peak here back on Wednesday of last week and then sort of drooping down since then on the half-day chart as popped up there and then started moving down. What about copper? It's pulling back quite significantly too, 1.82%. You can see here on the 2-day chart. And you can see where it was in the morning and down about the same in the afternoon with lots of volume. So copper losing some of its luster. Silver down 3.18%. Look at silver just nosediving after 3 weeks of decent volume and decent up movement. Keep a close eye on that. Might have the ability for a short silver trade. Keep that in mind. Good practice trade there. You could do some puts in your practice trade. So what do we see going on with natural gas? Nat gas, 4 weeks of decent up movement this week, pairing that off quite a bit, down for the day, 0.85%. Lastly, we'll look at wheat. Wheat, again, not matching what it did last week. The volume probably looks like it slowed down some too. Nice high volume last week with a nice high price not being met this week. Now, that is where we are on our commodities. We're going to go in alphabetical order, F, X, B, E, Y, and A. We'll start, well, that's not alphabetical order because the Australian dollar should be first, but we'll start with the pound. We see that the pound had a doji last week and rotation over going down this week. 3 days of down movement, a really pounding downward 2-day candle for Thursday and Friday the 3rd and 4th of October, respectively. And again, continuing to move down on this weekly chart. It did pop up a wee bit for the day, 0.15%. 0.15%. What about the euro? It too, it started moving down stronger last week. Big wick on that down doji. Haven't hit that low this week yet on the weekly chart. But again, lots of, average volume last week. And again, euro pulling back. And for the day, 0.07% up. You see it was down in the morning, recover a little bit. In the afternoon, is it finding a bottom here? Could be on the half-day chart. We'll keep an eye on that. The yen, yes, we know the Japanese wanted to bring that yen back into line. It had just rocketed up higher than it popped up that big week when the Japanese central bank, got rid of the no interest. And then the yen over several weeks, in fact, it started jamming up. And this is the week it really jammed up, the 5th of August. And then the bank tried to get things back under control. They sort of did that next week, but then it took off again. Now we're starting to see red, down candles, down 0.13%. Australian dollar, after moving up nicely for at least 2 of the last 3 weeks. Last week, it bounced up actually to a higher high. Not much candle-wise, but the wick was decent. And the volume, nothing to write home about. And then this week, rotating over, heading down. You can see on that 2-day chart, you can actually see where things on Monday the 30th sort of ended. And it's just been rocketing down on the Australian dollar ever since. That is where we are, charting cryptos, commodities, and currencies. Hope you enjoy getting into something a little different like we do once a week when we jump into these other interesting ETFs and, of course, cryptocurrencies. God bless, my friends. All the best from the whole team at Charting Wealth World Headquarters.